Hey guys, in a lot of my videos I talk about how some of our fears, limiting beliefs, anxieties can stem from something that's happened in our childhood, typically between the ages of 0 and 7. But what I haven't spoken about is how some of these fears, limiting beliefs and anxieties can actually stem from something that's happened in our bloodlines. So something that our parents or our parents' parents have experienced can actually trickle through the bloodlines, and we can actually be born with the same limiting beliefs, fears and anxieties that our parents had in their life. And the example that I'm going to give you from my own life is, for as long as I can remember, I've always had a really strong scarcity mindset around food, where I completely wholeheartedly believed that there was never enough food. And it was really strange that I had this belief because, I was very fortunate to be brought up in a household where there was always food in the pantry, there was always food in the fridge. I never went hungry. My parents were very generous with food, yet I always had that really strong scarcity mindset around food. In fact, I've got a really distinct memory of being 7 years old, and my cousins had come over and they wanted to eat food out of the pantry. And I remember the panic that rose within me, and I was like, no, you can't eat the food. There's not enough. Don't waste the food. Even though the pantry was completely stocked up with food, I still felt like there wasn't enough food. And it wasn't until recent years when I've really started to dive deep and uncover all these limiting beliefs and fears and anxieties and just figuring out where they've come from and healing them, that I've come to look at this particular pattern and I just was completely lost about where it had come from, because there's nothing in my life that had happened, nothing my parents could have said that gave me the strong belief that there wasn't enough food. But through my journey with timeline therapy, I've come to learn that we can actually develop these fears, limiting beliefs and anxieties through our bloodlines, through something that our parents have experienced. And that is so true for me, because that reality of there not being enough food was very real for my mother. Being brought up in poverty, being brought up in an orphanage, always going hungry. There was never enough food. There were times where she'd be sharing one slice of bread between herself and all of her siblings. So that very real experience, that trauma of that not being enough food, has trickled through the bloodlines, and I was born with that belief. So it's really interesting to look at, guys. I do encourage you, if there are any fears, programming, limiting beliefs or anxieties that are playing out in your life, and you cannot for the life of you figure out where it's come from, nothing in your life has happened and it just does not add up for you to have this anxiety, I do encourage you to look at your bloodlines. Look at the way that your parents' parents' life was. An experience or a trauma that they might have had could have actually trickled through the bloodlines, and you are now living out the same fears and anxieties that your parents lived, which is actually not at all relevant to the life that you're living. And if you do, figure out any of these patterns that are playing out in your life that have come from your bloodlines, I'd love to hear about it. I'm really interested to hear other people's experience with this. Okay, so that's all I really wanted to share today, guys. Hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.